From the ground of Earth to space and beyond, the internet is part of our lives. We'll explore how satellites orbiting our planet facilitate lightning-fast space internet access, revolutionizing connectivity as we know it. So, what is space internet? In simple terms, it's a technology that uses satellites in orbit around Earth to send and receive data, providing high-speed, low-latency, and global internet access. Imagine being able to surf the web, stream videos, play games, and chat with your friends, no matter where you are on the planet or even beyond. That's what space internet can do. There are many services and providers that offer space internet, such as Starlink, OneWeb, Kuiper, and others. Starlink is the most well-known and popular one, launched by SpaceX, the company founded by Elon Musk, the visionary entrepreneur and billionaire. Starlink aims to provide internet access to everyone, especially those who live in remote or rural areas where traditional internet services are not available or reliable. It all started with the dream of communicating with space and with each other, using satellites. The first experiments in satellite communication date back to the 1950s and 1960s, when the United States and the Soviet Union launched some of the first artificial satellites into orbit, such as Sputnik, Explorer, and Echo. These satellites were used to transmit radio signals, voice messages, and images between different locations on Earth and to test the feasibility and challenges of satellite communication. The first major milestone in satellite communication was the launch of the first geostationary satellite, SYNCOM-2, in 1963. A geostationary satellite is a satellite that orbits the Earth at the same speed and direction as the Earth's rotation, so it appears to be stationary in the sky. This makes it ideal for communication, as it can cover a large area of the Earth and maintain a constant connection with the ground stations. SYNCOM-2 enabled the first live television broadcast across the Pacific Ocean and the first direct phone call between the U.S. President and the Nigerian Prime Minister. The next major milestone in satellite communication was the development of the Global Positioning System, GPS, in the 1970s and 1980s. GPS is a system of satellites that orbit the Earth and provide accurate and precise location and time information to anyone with a GPS receiver. GPS was originally designed for military purposes, but it soon became available for civilian use and revolutionized navigation, mapping, and tracking. GPS is now used by billions of people and devices, such as smartphones, cars, planes, and ships. The most recent milestone in satellite communication was the deployment of the first low Earth orbit, LEO, satellite constellations in the 1990s and 2000s. A LEO satellite is a satellite that orbits the Earth at a lower altitude and higher speed than a geostationary satellite, so it can provide faster and cheaper internet access. But it also requires more satellites and ground stations to cover the same area. Some of the first LEO satellite constellations were Iridium, Globalstar, and Teledesic, which aimed to provide voice and data services. However, these constellations faced technical, financial, and regulatory difficulties and failed to achieve their goals. So, how does space internet work? How can these satellites provide internet access from space, and how can we use it on Earth? Space internet works by using a network of satellites in orbit around Earth that communicate with each other and with the ground stations and user terminals on Earth using radio waves of different frequencies. The satellites act as routers or repeaters that relay the data packets from the source to the destination using the best available path. The ground stations act as gateways that connect the satellite network to the terrestrial internet network. The user terminals act as modems or antennas that send and receive the data signals from the satellites. Satellite orbits are the paths that the satellites follow around the Earth, determined by their altitude, speed, and inclination. There are three main types of satellite orbits: geostationary, medium Earth, and low Earth. Geostationary satellites orbit the Earth at about 36,000 kilometers above the equator and provide wide coverage and constant connection, but also have high latency and cost. Medium Earth satellites orbit the Earth at about 20,000 kilometers above the poles and provide global coverage and moderate latency and cost, but also have limited bandwidth and availability. Low Earth satellites orbit the Earth at about 500 to 2,000 kilometers above the surface and provide high-speed, low-latency, and low-cost internet access, but also require more satellites and ground stations to cover the same area. Frequencies are the rates at which the radio waves oscillate, measured in Hz/Hz. There are different bands of frequencies that are used for satellite communication, such as L-band, S-band, C-band, X-band, Ku-band, Ka-band, and V-band. Each band has its own advantages and disadvantages, such as signal strength, bandwidth, interference, and attenuation. For example, lower frequencies have stronger signals and less interference, but also lower bandwidth and more attenuation. Higher frequencies have higher bandwidth and less attenuation, but also weaker signals and more interference. Antennas are the devices that transmit and receive the radio waves from the satellites, using electrical currents and magnetic fields. There are different types and shapes of antennas, such as dish, horn, helical, and phased array. Each type has its own characteristics, such as gain, directivity, polarization, and beamwidth. For example, dish antennas have high gain and directivity, but also require precise pointing and tracking. Phased array antennas have low gain and directivity, but also allow electronic steering and scanning. Ground stations are the facilities that connect the satellite network to the terrestrial internet network using antennas, modems, routers, and servers. There are different types and roles of ground stations, such as gateway, control, and tracking. Gateway stations act as the interface between the satellite and the internet and provide the data and voice services to the users. Control stations act as the managers of the satellite network and monitor and control the status and configuration of the satellites. Tracking stations act as the observers of the satellite network and measure and record the position and movement of the satellites. User terminals are the devices that send and receive the data signals from the satellites, using antennas, modems, and computers. There are different types and sizes of user terminals, such as fixed, mobile, and portable. Fixed terminals are installed at a specific location and provide stable and reliable internet access, but also require power and installation. Mobile terminals are mounted on a vehicle, such as a car, plane, or ship, and provide internet access on the move, but also require power and mobility. Portable terminals are carried by a person, such as a smartphone, tablet, or laptop, and provide internet access anywhere, but also have limited battery life and performance. These are some of the main technologies and concepts, but there are many more. Together, they enable space internet services to transmit and receive data from space and to provide fast, reliable, and affordable internet access to users on Earth. Space internet is an amazing and powerful technology, but it is not perfect. It still has some challenges and limitations that need to be overcome, such as technical complexity, cost, regulation, interference, and space debris. For example, space internet services are still relatively expensive, ranging from tens to hundreds of dollars per month, depending on the provider and the plan. They also have high technical complexity, requiring sophisticated engineering and coordination of thousands of satellites, ground stations, and user terminals. They also face some regulatory hurdles, such as obtaining licenses, permissions, and approvals from different countries and agencies, and complying with the laws and standards of each jurisdiction. They also suffer from some interference issues, such as noise, jamming, and hacking, that can affect the quality and security of the data transmission. They also create some space debris issues, such as collisions, explosions, and fragmentation, that can damage or destroy the satellites and other spacecraft and pose a threat to the safety and sustainability of the space environment. However, these challenges and limitations are not insurmountable. They can be solved or mitigated by further research, innovation, and collaboration. In fact, it has a lot of potential and possibilities for the future that can outweigh the drawbacks. Space internet can expand the coverage and capacity of the internet, enabling more people and devices to access and share data and information, regardless of their location or situation. It can also enable new applications and services, such as telemedicine, e-learning, e-commerce, e-government, and e-democracy, that can improve the quality of life and well-being of millions of people around the world. It can also support the exploration and colonization of space by providing communication and navigation for astronauts, satellites, and spacecraft, and by facilitating the development of lunar and Martian bases and beyond. So, that's space internet, a technology that uses satellites in orbit around Earth to send and receive data, providing high speed, low latency, and global internet access. It is not just a dream, but a reality that is already changing the world and our lives. I hope you enjoyed this video and learned something new and interesting about it. If you did, please give this video a thumbs up, leave a comment, share it with your friends, and subscribe to my channel for more videos like this. I would love to hear your thoughts, questions, and feedback on space internet, and what you would like to see in my next video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.